IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we share the journey of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners.
Hi guys, welcome to a brand new conversation on the Musafir Stories. I'm your host Saif with my co-host Faiza, and before kicking off the episode, a couple of quick announcements. A very hearty congratulations to Somdeep Kundu from West Bengal on being the lucky winner of our contest from last episode. Thank you for your lovely email and sharing some wonderful snippets about life in your town of Adra in Purulia district, West Bengal. Your copy of the book, The Autograph Seeker by Tony Francis, should arrive in your mail very soon. We'll reach out to you with more details. Also, a quick shout out to Arjun Narayanan and Siddharth Saxena for writing into us. We appreciate your love and support, guys. As for today's episode, we talk to Vishwas Raj, founder of the travel company Adventure Sindbad. Adventure Sindbad offers a multitude of adventures across the Himalayas, be it hiking, cycling, whitewater rafting, or fun family trips. Let's hop onto the episode and find out more.
Hello, Vishwas. A really gloomy and a rainy evening here in Bangalore. Where are you?
How are you, Vishwas? And tell us where you're reporting from.
Yeah, hi Faiza. Saif, I should say Julie actually, because I am reporting from Leh. I am so happy that Wi-Fi is working in Leh after 2 years of bad Wi-Fi. So it's almost towards the end of the season. The tourists are thinning, and I'm excited to be on your platform. And I almost feel like a little celebrity.
Oh, good. But before you make our listeners more curious, tell us what you're up to in Leh.
Well, I run a travel company. It's called Adventure Sindbad, and I've been in the adventure travel field for a long time. It's almost 11 years now. I started off as a novice in 2008. I'm from Bangalore, and I followed the crowd. I did my engineering, got campus placed, got a regular corporate job. I thought the world had arrived. I happened to work for about 2.5 years with an IT company, a pretty popular one.
Okay.
And I decided that it's not happening. I was getting more comfortable. You start earning more pretty fast. Then I realized that if I get too comfortable, then it'll be very difficult getting out. So that's when I call it quits, and I had to, deep dive into what I really loved as a kid and growing up. And then I realized that I had, my passion lay with adventure, with the mountains, and I came up north. So that's how I started. And then after about 9 years in the field, then I decided that, okay, I think I know enough, and this is a good time to start something of my own.
So tell us a little bit more about Adventure Sindbad, right? In terms of, say, how you differentiate yourself from. There's a number of other tour operators also, right, in the region that focuses on this adventure, climbing, etc. How does Adventure Sindbad differentiate itself from those competitors?
Yeah. For a customer, it's very difficult to find out which operator to go with.
Exactly.
The first differentiation is, we come with a lot of. I myself come with a lot of experience.
Sure.
And our team, the team with which we work, they have immense experience. They have more experience than me actually. I actually sign up people, get people on board, because most of them are people I've worked with for many, many years. Mm-hmm. If there is somebody coming on board, I make sure that he knows something more than me, and that is one thing. And so when there's a lot of experience, and we've seen a lot of other regions in the Himalaya, we assess risk better because we have seen a lot of shit happening, and we know that if we don't go with necessary precautions, it could lead to damage.
Exactly.
So we are different because we have a very experienced team, and safety is our number one priority.
Right.
So talking of safety, we have to reduce the group sizes also.
Sure.
So we never ever take more than 12 people in the mountain. You know, our group sizes are restricted to only 12. And if we have more, we'll have to split them into two groups.
Okay.
Two groups with separate crews, separate, trip leader, kitchen team, tents, Only for camping groups where we are camping at one place and doing day hikes is when we accept bigger groups. That's when families come in with kids and all that, multiple families. That's when we have a big group size. Otherwise, if it's a trek, it's always restricted to 12. Okay. It becomes, one thing is it becomes easier for us to manage because safety is a big concern. And one important aspect in terms of the guests is their experience is so much more richer. So that is one more way we are different. And one last thing is the company is a reflection of my own personality. And I have a insatiable wanderlust, and I'm always looking out for these exotic places in different nooks of the Himalaya to explore.
Right.
So slowly I wish to, put up these itineraries as we go ahead, theme-based trips, not just trekking. We will be slowly branching off into other kinds of trips. So this, our maiden trip, I think that we'll be talking about was the Changthang photography trip, which has been a pet project for a long time.
Exactly. So I just want to use that segue also, because I feel the best way to speak for what you do is by sharing one of your trips, right? One of your experiences with a group. And for me, Changthang was really special too, because it's tied to the Pashmina shawls. So we can speak more about that, but just lay it out for us a little bit in terms of geographically where it is located also, and the speciality of Changthang too.
Yes. So Changthang is like a region in the Himalaya, which extends, which is part of Ladakh. It is a very high plateau, with an average altitude of about 4,500 meters, and it's like a vast plateau which extends into Tibet, and it has beautiful lakes, cobalt turquoise lakes. Some amazing mountains and some bewitching scenery, and the home of the nomads. These are the lands where the nomads roam.
Right, these are the Changpas, right? You're speaking
exactly.
Of?
Yeah. So anybody from Changthang would be called a Changpa. Okay. And from the Changpas, there is a community who rear the Pashmina sheep. So this is where Pashmina comes from, the prized cashmere, from where you get the best of shawls. Kashmir is where the best artisans come from. But the raw material comes from this area.
I see Faiza's eyes light up when you say Pashmina. But go on. I'm sorry to interject.
So, it is same as all over the world. But I was always intrigued by, because I used to work with a person who was a nomad. He used to go around with his, 500 to 800 goats and sheep in the Changthang area, and he left that to pursue a career in adventure. And from that time, when he used to recall what it is like to go down in these vast lands, it was like a dream. It was like a television going on in my mind, like a video. And from those days, I've always been keen on going to these places, because first of all, most of these places were restricted. They lie in the inland, very close to the Chinese border.
True.
Okay.
So for a long time, it was not even open to Indians. Okay. Only about 3-4 years ago did Home Ministry open some of the regions where Indians could travel. And from then on, it's become very famous. That's when all this idea of setting up a trip did arise.
Okay.
And even now, some parts are restricted to foreigners. Only Indians can go in. Okay. And of course, there are some parts which are very close to the border and very exotic in terms of locations and the kind of communities that gather there, that even Indians can't go.
Okay.
Forget Indians, even the local Ladakhis can't go. Just it is open to the nomadic community.
Okay.
They are generally referred to as Rebo, because Rebo means the yak wool that they use, yak wool tents. So normally these guys make these huge tents of yak wool, and they are referred to as Rebo. But now slowly these yak wool tents are phasing out because they're very heavy and very difficult to make and transport.
Okay.
And now the Animal Husbandry Department have given them easy tents with a smaller white color and the army color. They use that. but some of them still use the red ends. This is very interesting.
Yeah. And Vishwas, in terms of a person who's going there, do we need an extra permit or any such document?
Yes. Even for everybody going there except the Ladakhis, you require the places that we visit, which is part of our itinerary. We need a inner line permit or a restricted area permit for foreigners. Okay. So that can be done from the district administration here, the DC's office in Leh, and it takes just a day.
All this is taken care of by Adventure Sindbad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's the trip now? You've kind of given us a good context about Changthang and the nomadic Changpa tribes there, as well as the very prominent Pashmina wool that comes out of there, right? In terms of planning a trip to Changthang, say, what kind of preparation goes in, and how's the trip usually? How long is it for?
See, we started preparing like 1 year before.
Oh my God.
And more before that, we were reading up about Changthang. Some parts are still not open. So the beauty of Changthang is it is very hot in the summers and can get very and pretty windy in the mornings and evenings when the sun goes down. And in the winters, it is even more extreme. We have still not gone in the winters. That's a plan that is on the cards for the future, mostly this winter. Okay. But so our recce started about 1 year ago. So the thing with nomads is they keep moving, right. and there are different nomads in different parts of Changthang. So the Pangong Lake, Sumuriri Lake, and a lot of area in between, they're all Changthang, and they're restricted. They move around in one area, So there are like about 4-5 circles of nomads. They move in one area. And you'll have to know exactly where they are at which point of the year. Okay. So finding this out was quite a challenge because a lot of people don't know where they are unless you're a nomad yourself,
Exactly. So, and this is not something that your guidebooks will give you as well, right? You need somebody experienced.
Exactly. Yes. Even my friend who was a nomad wouldn't know the patterns of nomads from Karnak. Which is a different area. Okay. So he's a nomad from the Nyoma side. So he knew their pattern. But even then, because he had not done the whole year with them recently, so he didn't know. So we had to know which areas were good for guests to take, and where will they be at this point of time, right. And are there anything special? So that was a challenge, So we started doing a recce like 1 year ago, September of last year. And then we went around in a Maruti car everywhere, Maruti van and crossed high passes then. So it was fun. It was fun doing that. But then we got to know the moving patterns of a few nomads in especially the Nyoma side and some other places. Because it's an exotic community and the way they live is very Spartan. They have nothing much except their goats and sheep and a lot of milk products, So, and there is no connectivity at all. And they keep moving and depending on the pastures, they decide that, okay, the pasture is getting low here. Now it is time to move. So it normally happens around the same time. Okay. So that's how we chalked the itinerary. And then this time we were very happy that, it came to life. August was we ran the trip actually.
Awesome. So, some interesting insights there as well in terms of what goes into the planning. Now, in terms of starting out the journey, right? Vishwas?
Before that, Vishwas, I have one question to ask.
Yes.
A lot of time we've heard stories about certain nomads or tribes not being that welcoming to people who come there and want to understand or talk to them. How about the Changpas?
Well, it is true. That is also part of the recce because we like to touch base first and make a warm connect before we get guests. So we at least know a few nomads who will be welcoming to us. Okay. And normally what we have seen is they are not welcome when there are so many tourists coming in. When a place becomes very commercial, very touristy. Right. So we wanted to strictly avoid those places. Yep. And that's what we did. And we were actually very surprised by how welcoming the nomads were at some points.
And it's a fine line, right? It's a fine line between being intrusive versus being friendly and trying to understand their culture. So I think that's also a very important aspect of making sure, like, for the overall experience, both for them and for your guests to be like ideal. It's very important that that's taken care of as well.
Yes. Because it was a photography trip. Our main objective was to document their lives.
Right.
Because it is fast changing. Because the kids don't want to do this, to roam around with sheep and goat where there is no Wi-Fi.
Right.
Because the kids come from a different age. Slowly we see a shift in this whole trade and this whole way of life. And I think the next generation will be very different. I actually think this is like the last generation which will be witnessing this in the little true form that it still exists. Like going forward, I think things will change and things will become more modern or scientific, or there will be a technology coming into the whole system. People will be concentrating on how do we produce more Pashmina than just the beauty of the nomad community. Yeah. So we had to also sensitize people about like you said, about not being intrusive. So we had to become friends first and then request them that can we shoot. And then some people said yes, some people said no, but most did agree towards the end.
Okay, interesting. Awesome. So in terms of, as I was asking, right, in terms of setting out, you guys are obviously based in Leh, right? That's where you start off your group, your trips from?
Yeah. Because most of the Changthang is, at 4,500 meters, you need adequate acclimatization. So we put in at least 3 days of acclimatizing in Leh, in which we go to a different high points and we cover basic highlights here and, some other nooks, especially in the old Leh town. And after that, we head out towards Changthang.
Okay.
Yeah. So our first location was just next to a very beautiful lake. We take them to Somoriri first, actually, telling the truth. It is pretty touristy, but then we are not camping at Somoriri. We are camping quite behind. It's the Poo, where the nomads sit. There are some treks which end there, and it's a huge ground. It's a massive ground. It's one of the biggest nomad community around. So easily around 40-50 tents spread out in the ground. You'll not be able to count them. So we camp a little close, but a little away too from them. And then our whole day is, evolved around and what they do.
Okay.
So they are very early risers. 4:30, 5 in the morning, you see smoke coming out of a tent. So, somebody has got up, somebody's making tea, salt tea, or, cooking for the day. The first few nomads, go off with their sheep, as early as 7. So our whole day is, to document how their normal day looks. So we're starting from like early morning till late evening. We were just chasing the nomads in different parts.
And talking a little bit more about the nomads, right? Draw out for us a little bit about their life as well, Vishwas, like what goes on in their day-to-day life, because you're trying and documenting this as well, right? So how is it, when you say it's unique, what are the things that are involved, and like how do they sustain themselves given these extreme conditions that they live in?
And also I would like to know what got you interested in them?
See, I've always been drawn towards Spartan lives, like how can you live with so little and yet so happy? So that first actually drew me to the Himalaya first. And then I realized this community actually practices here. But their richness is their land, their home, which is so beautiful. Actually, when you start staying with them, you realize how much you take for granted. I mean, how much of your, luxuries that you take for granted, you think that this is a necessity, and how little they have, but how happy they are, and they don't miss that. These nomads, like when we documented their daily lives, we don't see them missing what they don't have, because they don't know that they don't have that. I'll give you some snippets about what we saw. Their only wealth is Pashmina, of course, which is read once a year, sometime in June, and most of it is bought by the government, and then it's exported to places like Kashmir, where the final product is done. And the rest of their thing is they subsist on milk and milk products.
Okay.
It is the goat milk, and then they make cheese out of it. They make churpe, which is they make paneer, they make lassi, and all kinds of milk products. And most of the day is involved in processing those milk products. So the normal day is like you have this tent, and they have these ferocious dogs always guarding it, and they're all Tibetan mastiffs, Bhotia dogs. They're called. They're almost tigers, yeah. The way they live.
Yeah, it's not your usual dogs that you can go and pet around, right?
No, not at all. They're very ferocious. Maybe you can pet them in a different location.
Yeah.
But with the sheep near the rebo tent, they are very, very ferocious. You can't even approach them. Like, you'll have to be very careful approaching them even from 100 meters. In Korzok, it's a different case because I think people have been visiting. But in some other locations, we had to be very careful. We were chased in a vehicle when we were in a vehicle like 100 meters from our rebo tent.
Oh my God. Okay.
We actually have this dog charging at us. Like it's like a wolf.
Yeah.
And then the dust is going up. So it is very, very dangerous. So we always had somebody. We went in groups. And then the first thing, of course, is milking. Once they get up, they start milking the goats. And that is a sight to watch because they have to separate the male and female, the milking ones. And they're always running, it's almost a sport. And it's a lot of physical activity. And then they're all tied up, neck to neck. It's almost like a plate, like girls' plate. That's how the goats look when they're all tied up. And there are two people milking from both sides, And then as soon as the milking activity is over, they are released. And then that's when they start going into the mountains. So from each family, there is one person who takes the goats, and every family would have anything between 100 to maybe 800. Yeah, a lot of sheep also mixed. And everybody goes to different parts of the mountain, so they have regions. So once they start going around 8 is when they start moving way into the mountains. So they're off for the whole day then. The goats are off. Normally there is one shepherd for each group. So all these are gone, and mostly there's one person who stays back in the tent to guard the tent, and maybe sometimes the dogs go with the sheep, and there'll be one dog maybe around the tent.
Okay.
So those guys cook for the day, take care of the other, what to do with the milk, milking product,
right,
and do the daily activities, cleaning up and all that, and they cook for the persons who will come back late in the evening. We followed the shepherds for a while, but they go very far off. They move very fast, and they cover a vast distance in just a day. So we were able to be with them for just a while, just till the light is good, and then we used to come back and rest and just follow the activity inside the tent. So the tent is just a small space, and it's like you have the kitchen, the dining, the puja room, and the sleeping room, everything put into one tent, one area. But once you go inside, it's all distinct. You know exactly. Okay, this is the puja place. There's always a place for puja. And they're all Buddhists, so it is very heartening to see that they always give the biggest place for the altar. There is a small kitchen. There are actually two kitchens. One is with a gas cylinder, and one is where they can use the dry gobar to heat the room and cook also. So always two stoves. Mostly they're in the middle of the tent, and both sides of the tent is free space. That's where they sleep, and that's where you eat. And so that's it. That is their home, and they seem to have everything in that.
Yeah.
Maybe a space of about 12 by 12. It is mostly in like the shape of a pyramid, a pentagon maybe, and then they have everything in that tent.
On an average, how many people stay in this tent?
Normally about 3 people. So like I said, Changpas is anybody who stays in Changthang. So like giving an example of my friend who is a nomad itself.
Right.
So from his family, there are some people who will stay in the regular in the village, and there are only about like a couple who go with the sheep. So mostly it'll be two with the kids. It's mostly family wise, So you're a couple, you have your kids. That's it. That's your tent. And when you have kids, the parents move out. They have a separate tent for themselves, and the kids, if they're married, they have their tent for themselves. And between them, they rear the sheep.
Yeah, but looks like they do take minimalism to the next level, right? In terms of the way they're living, and it's heartening that they are happy and self-sufficient in that way.
Yes. Although we associate Pashmina with it's a luxury.
Yeah,
it's very high end. The real Pashmina goes up into lakhs actually.
Yeah,
would easily cost about a lakh. That would be the starting price of the best of Pashmina. But imagine, we would think somebody who rears it would be very wealthy in terms of the city folk. How we measure wealth.
Sure.
But they're wealthy in a different sense. They have to lead these lives in these harsh conditions and always keep moving. Otherwise the goat does not. It's an irony.
Yeah.
That you will have to lead the tough life to produce the best product. And the fun part is they don't get to wear the Pashmina, right? They have sheep wool and yak wool that they use.
Yeah.
And the finest Pashmina is what we wear.
Yeah, no, that is a bittersweet kind of a thing. But I was just saying that you need to, in order to rear these goat and sheep, you have to live in those really arid, literally cold desert, right? That Changthang.
Yes. It is. When you are there, you will know why it is called the cold desert.
Yeah.
It is a desert in such because there's no green. The only green you see is the grass. Otherwise, it is all brown.
Yeah.
And there are no trees at all. We are much above the tree line. So even to go to the loo, it's a problem. When we are camping, of course, we have loo tents.
Yeah.
But the nomads, you'll have to use the curvature of the earth.
Oh my God.
To hide yourself.
Yeah.
Because there are hardly, there are every place we went had about 20 to 30 families, and each family have maybe a maximum of 3 to 4 people. So you can imagine the population of that. And they stay there maximum for about 25 days to about 2.5 months, depending how rich the grassland is.
Right.
And then they move.
Right.
And the goats will survive and produce the best Pashmina only when they move.
Yep.
In these very high altitude. And sometimes there are places where we camped, which was at 5,000 meters. 5,000 meters would be the base camp of a climbing mountain. It's very high. And you walk a few steps and you'll know why you're panting.
Yeah.
And these people will be running behind the goats. They're like superhuman at that altitude. And there are old people, people who are like 65, 70, 80 years, who will be completely at home at this place and, laughing away at how we are panting generally at such altitudes. So it's funny.
Wonderful. And Vishwas, what about the language you communicate with? Would it be Hindi?
Yeah, these people, they understand very little Hindi, because once you go away from the main trekking areas, a lot of them speak only Ladakhi or Tibetan, and even the dialect is different. The Changpa dialect is a little different from the regular Ladakhi. So I understand a little bit of Ladakhi. I can get by transactional, I can live. We always have locals with us, and we always try and take somebody from the nomad community. And we have a very good friend, Namgyal, who is from the Nyoma side.
Right.
Who was our local guide. That's how we communicated. But apart from that, the sign language is the best way to communicate here. And it's all in the eyes.
Right. And the smile, I think, yeah.
When somebody comes with good faith, it is easy. In the end, we get by. And some of them can speak broken Hindi, They don't understand much. We were lucky to find somebody who knew a little bit of Hindi. So it was fine. We were able to manage well.
Okay.
And we, of course, we took a lot of vegetables and then some sunglasses, as gifts. I mean, they need them, of course.
Right.
And
it goes towards building that goodwill also, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And over time, as we continue the project, we would want to take without altering their lives too much, we would want to take something which will add value to their lives going up, maybe a few gadgets, maybe solar, maybe headlights, sunshades, and the main thing is vegetables. Yeah, they don't have fresh vegetables at all.
Right.
So they subsist on meat and some vegetables. They go once in a week or once in 15 days to get supplies. So vegetables is a big thing for me, and for even for a lot of guests. Like when you go to somebody's house, when you go back home, you take sweets, you take presents, you take vegetables. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
So, Vishwas, before I start kind of wrapping this up, is there more about your trip to the Changthang area that you wanted to talk about?
So I would say that anybody who experiences this, they should visit Changthang, but I say it with the with that caution in my mind that, oh my God, let it not become so crowded with tourists that that it loses the essence.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very special trip, and we would want to document their lives over time in different parts of Ladakh in different seasons. It is a great way to know how to live.
Sure.
How to learn minimalism. And apart from that, they even the people make for great portraits, because you can see so much experience in their faces and in their eyes, the way they emote, because they are always in harsh conditions and harsh surroundings. They can't win everything, The end, they have to bow down to nature.
Sure.
And every day they live in harmony with how the nature is. Just from their eyes, you can make out that, they've seen so much more of the world than we would ever see in terms of harshness and extreme conditions.
Yeah.
They're always warm eventually.
Yeah.
They might start a little hostile because they don't want people encroaching or being intrusive.
Yep.
But in the end, they're very warm at heart. And because of the sun, they look so much more older than they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them look like 200 years old. The lines on their faces, no?
Yeah.
And they're amazing people to just watch and learn. And we thoroughly enjoyed our tour.
Yeah.
And we look forward to more such tours and hosting people who are interested in their lives or just to visit such beautiful locales.
Yeah. Brilliant. And I really appreciate the fact that you were taking that extra step, right, to ensure that you're not being too intrusive. And it's a fine line. It is a very fine line, and you are working hard to maintain that. So I really appreciate the fact that you are taking the utmost care. And that way also, for me, the way you handle your trips, that's been very different. That's a big differentiator as well. But for somebody looking for a trip, an adventure, and somebody looking to view the kind of trips that Adventure Sindbad does, your team does, how does one find out? What's the best way to find out more?
We have a website. We have a very good website. It's adventuresindbad.com. Okay. And we are on Facebook and Instagram. And we have a pretty vibrant social media page also. And we have the necessary numbers and email addresses.
Cool. So you can make the inquiries through your social media pages, right?
Yeah, website, emails, and social media. Anything works.
Okay.
And we always limit our group sizes. And this tour actually will be mostly limiting to 8 and not even go till 12. Because suddenly, a lot of people with such big cameras, because most of the cameramen come with these huge lenses, and they could be, even two or three people inside a Rebo tent. Cool tent would be a lot.
Sure.
So we plan to limit that size too, and keep it a little exclusive for people who really want to see and experience something unique.
Absolutely. And that's why I also have to call out the fact that you took utmost care not to be calling out specific places or locations, and just covering the Changthang area in general, right? So that way we're trying to avoid commercialization also. It's not something that will bode very well with the nomadic tribes too. So I appreciate that fact too. And I'd like to thank you, Vishwas. Thanks a bunch for taking time out and sharing this wonderful experience that you had in the Changthang region with the Changpas and the beautiful Pashmina, right? That gives like a backstory to this luxury fabric or luxury wool that a lot of us do enjoy and love, but we don't really even take the time out to think as to what goes on behind making of this wonderful wool, right? Thank you for sharing that story. And it almost felt like, I wouldn't even say a different world. It felt like time travel, right? Going back in time and to a different planet even at times, given looking at some of your pictures and the kind of arid landscape that the people live in. So it's a complete different experience in that sense. And I would urge anybody looking at, such experiential travel more than anything, right? To check out adventuresindbad.com. And we have a wonderful leader in Vishwas who's like leading by example, who's like walking.
Thank you.
Because that's what is missing in the new operators that are coming up. Everybody's running out of the money, like to put it in like simple terms. That's what everybody's doing. But here things are taken care of in terms of what the experience is, as well as trying to maintain the fine line and the fine balance in the existing ecosystem there, right? So thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vishwas.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Saif. I should say, Jule Thukje Che, because I'm late. So it's been a pleasure being hosted, and I think this is a great initiative of bringing stories of travelers to life.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, put it yourself. Although we are on the same planet, we all look like different planets when you actually go visit them. And someday I would like to invite you, both of you,
Definitely.
to see what goes behind the richest wool, the fabric in the world. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot for this opportunity. Thank you, Julie.
That was yet another great episode of the Musafir Stories. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Audioboom, Savan, Pocket Casts, Castbox, Stitcher, or any other podcasting app available on iOS or Android. Please do leave us a review on iTunes. It goes a long way in the show's discoverability. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We go by the handle The Musafir Stories. Or, if it suits you, you could email us at themusafirstories@gmail.com or visit our website at www.themusafirstories.com for more information. All of these links will be made available in the show notes section of each episode. So here's to more traveling, sharing, and inspiring. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, happy travels and goodbye.